Hello Dream Team and welcome to this GBR React episode in partnership with our good friends at Continental Tires. I'm a little bit husky post-Glastonbury, as is my guest for this week, my former Wasps apprentice, even though he's turned into a much better player. I taught him everything he knows, especially how to have a drink on the piss. He's also only gone and won the double. It is the Champions Cup and top 14 champion, Jack Willis.
Hello, mate. Thank you very much for having me on.
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. As you say, a bit of a husky voice, but yeah, it's been a hell of a few days and a hell of a year, really. Absolutely loved it.
Who was the most hungover out of the lads?
That's a good question. I mean, it's one of those. I think we all feel pretty sorry for ourselves when it's finally stopped. I live next door to Blair Kinghorn, and we're looking over each other at the fence. We actually had another day organised today, so we've been going since Friday. And there was a trip to Perpignan organised today, but there was no chat on the group at all. And then suddenly it was like, lads, there's no one on the bus. Like, we're going to have to cancel because I think everyone had finally given in.
That's always the way. If you keep quiet and hope everyone will go away. I've had that actually once. I was in when I was in Japan. I did a carver session with the Tongan boys. I'd never drunk carver before, and honestly, I couldn't get out of bed. I was so like it was like a tiredness thing. I thought they drugged me to come over and rob the house. So I honestly I couldn't get out of bed. I got as far as the downstairs sofa and fell asleep for another 5 hours. I don't know how those lads do all that. Who celebrated the hardest? I mean, I know I saw you guys after the European Cup final, Blair Kinghorn and you. I mean, what a season he's had.
Yeah, I mean, mate, he's been a hell of an addition for us, and you know how competitive our backline is, and the fact that he's just slotted straight in and pretty much started. I get stuck into him because he's won 14 from 14, and obviously he goes on about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you don't play the tough away games, mate. You just play the home games and play the European games. So, but yeah, he's Perpignan away games like that next year. Then we'll make sure we bring him along, and he can learn what the top 14's like.
So what was the plan for the last 14 days? So you guys won the final. Got on and had a few drinks in the change room. And what do you guys do after that? Just take us through day by day.
From after the Champions Cup.
No, sorry, after the Premiership top 14 final even.
So it's been nuts really. So we won Friday night, and then we were in Marseille. So we stayed at a hotel in Marseille. And they put on like a rooftop. There was like a rooftop event for family and friends and support, like sort of sponsors. We went there, which was great, but it's very French because the game kicks off at 9 p.m. So we didn't start our post-match event until about 2 a.m. was when it started. So we, as you can imagine, finished late. I went to bed about 7ish. I woke up about 10, went back down, and there was boys that had just gone straight through. Piatto Muvaka, Joe Takori. I've never seen blokes who can go like they do. It's incredible. Joe Takori especially, he's brilliant. Everywhere he goes is a big speaker, blaring music, and yeah, he brings a lot of good energy.
Because I remember when he played, I think back in the day, what was it? Did he play for Cast, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. And I went out with a night out with him, and I was, oh my God, it was a mistake. I had to throw up in a bag on the plane on the way back, because also everywhere he goes, he's like the king of the parties. Yeah. He's obviously massive, so everyone's like shit scared of him. And when they give you the measures, they just go like this in France.
Yeah, just say stop.
Yeah, and then I was absolutely fuckoed on that when I was with him, and it's terrifying. Yeah. So is he a bit of the kind of tall leader out there?
Yeah, it's cool. Like, he obviously committed to the club and was here for a long time, and part of growing that success. And now he's like the assistant kit man, but effectively assistant kit man slash like constantly in charge. He's like the DJ. So wherever we are, there's a speaker, whether that's training, a night out, pre-game, post-game, always some music playing. But it's funny because I remember when I first met the coaches here, they were saying like Joe could go out during the week and drink, and then turn up, play, go out for a couple of days, and then he'd always be the first one in on Monday. But a bit like you were saying, you've had a night out with them. The coaches had to sit them down and say, look, it's fine that you can do it and turn up on a Monday, but we've got boys that go out with you and we don't see them for 3 days. So definitely can't keep up with him. And he on Saturday morning, actually, we were sat just sort of outside the hotel waiting for our bus before we flew back. And I just like sat on his lap, and all of a sudden he started chucking me around. And Blair was next to me, and I was like, I felt like I was a baby, mate. I feel like I played some pretty big blokes in this league, and in the last few months. And I was like, I felt like a baby. I was being ragdolled about. I was like, Blair, help! And he's like, I'm not touching him, mate.
A winger's never getting involved in contact.
It's staying well out of it.
I tell you the only time I saw it, obviously Shawsey was like 6'9" or whatever, 6'8", and he 130 kgs. I saw him in Las Vegas, picked up by a security bouncer who was like 7'1", picked up Shawsey like a surfboard and carried him out. And I was like, "Fuck!" I once wrestled Shawsey on a team social. Like, I was sitting. It was just when we'd won the first Premiership. I was like wrestling with him, and he just pushed his hands on my shoulders, forced me down, like bent my spine backwards on the bench, and I was like, oh my god! So I felt the absolute man strength, like dad strength. You can't beat that.
Yeah, you can't. No,
He's absolutely terrified. Now look, Johnny Wilkins obviously was nicknamed Sir Johnny by Toulon. Now, did the French fans have a nickname for you yet? Have they shown you the love?
Look, the supporters are crazy. I don't know if I've got a nickname yet. I've probably got a few that buy my back. But the supporters are crazy, mate. Honestly, like they're so positive as well, which I love. And they're always apologetic, like, please can we have a photo? Like, they're never rude, like they never barge their way in. It's always like a lot of respect and just so positive about sort of me being over here, which has been really, really nice. And yeah, like pulling up to Capitol so we got back on the Saturday, went to Capitol, did an open top bus. And as we're driving in, like this Capitol's like the main square in Toulouse. I don't know if you've been there, but it was completely rammed with people just going absolutely bonkers, singing songs, chucking drink around, like going crazy for us. And they were there for hours that day. Like they were there the night before watching the game. And yeah, it is nuts.
Talk to me through that, obviously after the European Cup win, because you had a brilliant game. I was there actually DJing for Heineken up in their box, which is kind of a mad experience because that kind of Tottenham Stadium's insane.
Cool.
Just talk me through the emotions of going through an open top bus tour, because we nearly won a Premiership with Wasps, and that time got to a final, but we didn't really get close. Otherwise, just it must have been insane to see that.
Yeah, look, winning doing both has been incredible this year, but the Champions Cup, something that I've dreamt of winning since I started my career, because it was something that I could have won effectively being with Wasps. And to go and do that the other week, and the way we did it as well, like going to 100 minutes, like I was delirious by 80 minutes. I was like, I've got another 20 minutes to go. Brilliant, let's go. And they're obviously, how fit Leinster are as a team, and we had to give it absolutely everything. And then we go celebrate. We're on the piss for 4 or 5 days. That just reminded me of one story, mate. It was fucking funny. We obviously won the final Saturday. In London, fly back Saturday, Sunday, Monday on the piss, and they were like, right lads, no drink on Tuesday because we've got training Wednesday, we're done now, like, we've got La Rochelle at the weekend, like we're back to business, want to win the top 4 teams. It's sweet. But our president Didier, he's a legend, and he loves the piss and he loves us celebrating. So we're on the Wednesday, we've gone in for like a little like recovery session and a walkthrough for clarity, and then we had a meeting. And it was meant to be to like present the moves and stuff. And the president's just walked in, and he's basically said, I won't say it in shit French. He said, what he said is, lads, we've organised a bus that's going to take us into town at 7 o'clock. You've got an hour after training to be ready for it. And he was like, the bus comes back here at 10 o'clock. And effectively what he said is, I hope none of you fuckers are on here, is what he said.
Oh my God.
So I've like turned to Blair. He's like, what's he saying? I was like, he's telling us to get back on the piss, mate. And we went out Wednesday, and like we pulled up at, have you heard of L'Entrecôte? It's like that.
State chain, yeah.
Yeah, so we pulled up there, and I thought, oh, lovely, they've organised like a meal for us, perfect, we'll go in there. But we've gone all the way in, they've taken us round the back. I was like, where the fuck are we going here? Is it like a VIP room, or what is it? I don't know what it is. And we just go out the back of the restaurant, and there's this like event on in the middle of a place called Victor Hugo in the centre of town, and there's a couple of thousand people there, and we've just got a VIP area with like drinks on tap, everything just sorted, food coming out, and it's just like people chucking themselves over the barrier, like music pumping. I was like, oh my God. So I've absolutely sent it. Then like, there's no way I'd be playing against La Rochelle if I send it. I'll be sweet. Get in Friday, waiting for the team, and I heard my name on the bench. I was like, oh, you idiot. I was like, you fucked it. You fucked it.
Mate,
yeah.
That's kind. I tell you who. I find really hard because obviously, I know how professional you were. I was useless. If I drunk in the week, I was just toilet. But some guys could absolutely back it up. Like you said, Joe Corey. I remember Trevor Leota. He would be out all the time. He used to have a pint glass of what looked like Coke, but what you realised was it was full of Jack Daniels all the way to the top, and it was like a splash of Jack Daniels. And I took a sip of it once, and it almost paralysed me. But he would then play, and I think we played against the Sharks at Wasps, and the referee called over Lawrence and was like, "Look, I've got real concerns about your hooker. He absolutely stinks of alcohol, and he's still pissed. He's still pissed." So it was, I've never seen that kind of operation. How did you play? I didn't see the game against La Rochelle. Were you okay? Did you get on? How'd you go?
I admit, I honestly, so I like you say, I hate the idea of doing that. That's not me. Like, but I was like, well, I've just won the Champions Cup. I might never do it again.
Yeah.
Obviously, hope I do. But I was like, I've got to celebrate this. And then I thought, I played 100 minutes, like, gone out on Wednesday. Surely won't be in the mix. So I thought I'd ruled it out. But I got that one wrong. We actually drew. It was quite a nuts game. Running into Will Skelton and Uni Antonio when you've been on it all week was an interesting one.
That's absolutely not what you what you need. I mean, again, I kind of want to know just emotionally kind of where you're at, because you've had a crazy year, or couple of years in terms of what happened. Obviously, you were kind of part of that Wasps DNA. You absolutely loved it. I know you never wanted to leave, and your brother didn't want to leave, but you kind of ended up doing that. I mean, do you sort of pinch yourself? Because I know I spoke to you about kind of on the phone that some of my regrets in my career was not embracing it. And winning the Heineken Cup, winning the Premiership. I was so hard on myself all the time. I never kind of sort of accepted it, but you seem to be in a place where you've really appreciated every moment of it.
Yeah, look, I think I've tried to learn off being part of this group. I think it's a pretty unique group with a unique culture, this club, and they get such a good balance of wanting to be the best, putting the work in, but then going and enjoying yourself off the field. And I think you get that balance right of like, if you kind of work hard, play hard, and that's kind of what their sort of mantra is really. And look, you win something like that, you've got to go and celebrate and take it in. And I just thought, as you say, it's been such a tough and bizarre couple of years with losing my job, and then coming out here, sort of travelling back and forth last year with the England stuff, then the World Cup and not really playing. Like, it's been such an up and down couple of years.
I'm becoming a dad twice, is it right?
Couple of dads, yeah. And I mean, that's just the best thing in the world. And I think that gives you a bit of perspective on life of what's really important, to be honest. If you're not picked one week for some reason, and you come home and your boy doesn't give a fuck and your little girl doesn't give a fuck that you've not been picked, they just want to give you a cuddle. And that's been amazing for me. And then being out here, I think it's just such a cool place, mate. It's such a cool place, and I feel so grateful with leaving Wasps. There's mates of mine that have called Rugby a day. There's mates of mine that aren't happy like we were back at Wasps. A lot of us aren't. Like, there's part of that is that you'll never replace. But I just feel so lucky. I'm at such a brilliant club with great group, great coaches, great players, and I'm just really, really happy.
Did you? And honestly, because I thought this, and I think Wasps has an ability to kind of indoctrinate you into thinking it's the only way. I know when I left to go to Stanford and say, I was told, I thought that nothing would replace it. I'd never have that kind of culture. Obviously, you find out that rugby is rugby wherever you go, and sometimes it can be hit and miss. But it seems like, because I've told you before when I've interviewed that Toulouse was a team that I always wanted to play for. Stade Francais was amazing, and it was between those two sides that I wanted to go. Toulouse were never interested in me, but I always wanted to. I just think the way the black kit, the passion, the famous people who played for it, they were always super cool at what they did. And obviously it was a town that absolutely loved rugby. How surprised have you been about how you adopted it? And if you can sum up, why is it so special over there?
One thing for me that I think so rare that's different is you from the top to bottom of who's involved in our day-to-day, like the way things are run day-to-day, is people who play for the club. You've got our team managers and like head of recruitment guy, Jerome, he's won the most trophies ever for the club. Like you've got guys like that are in and around the mix. We're talking about Joe Takori, like he retired, went straight into this assistant kitman role. He's always around the boys. And it just makes you feel that if you put everything in, you get everything back from the club. And if that's a job or if that's, I genuinely believe they'd find you an opportunity in another business with a sponsor or someone else, whatever you wanted to go into. I think one thing I found a bit hard, I think it came down to, and I know you felt this shift throughout your career as well. I think it came down to money at the end of the day, but there was definitely a shift in the loyalty side of things in sport because of the salary cap, because of clubs not having the money, everything was squeezed. Whereas I really do feel here, obviously, that don't get me wrong, you've got to be playing well and working hard for the club, but I do feel like it's such a special place that have kept that sort of, if you give everything for us, we'll look after you. And I just love that. I love it. I love seeing the fact that you've got sort of like our bus driver and a few of the other boys that they're like play fighting as if they're still, it's just it's funny them sort of fucking around with each other. And you think, no, you're best mates and you've been best mates for 25 years playing for this club and going into coaching or going into something else. And it's just quite cool.
Is this the best group of players you've ever played with?
Oh, for sure, mate. For sure. I like it. The thing I love about it as well is you're constantly like, fuck, look what he's just done there. Like, you want to push yourself constantly because not only do you not want to fall behind, you want to try and add to it. But to add to a group like this, you've got to be at your best. You have to be at your best. So otherwise you're not going to get picked the next week. Like you pretty much, most of our team that is starting lineup will be international and you have to fight to get in the lineup. And be involved, and you're always going to have, it goes obviously through flows whether you're picked or not picked, but there's always going to be boys disappointed that would start at multiple other teams. But that's what's so amazing about it is you've got a great group of boys that give everything every day because they want to be in the mix and they want to be adding to the team, and I just think it's a really healthy environment.
I know you're a humble guy fundamentally, but have you surprised yourself with how well you've gone and how well you've been accepted? Because, one of the things I was always told, it could have just been me because I'm a bit of a dick, but they always talked about, Toulouse. I think Rob Andrew played for them back in the day, but they never really accepted English players in there. That wasn't their cup of tea. They would have other players, but English people, it wasn't fit. You've come in seamlessly and played incredibly well. Have you surprised yourself?
I think I knew when I got here that I had to really make an effort with the language because I think we're quite ignorant as English people. That we're like, well, someone will know English, they'll speak English. And I think I really didn't want to take that approach, and I really regret the fact I didn't learn a language when I was younger, or learn especially French now, the way things have played out. But I've made a real effort to try and learn French. It's not perfect, and believe me, I'd probably sound like a bit of a knobhead. Some of the stuff I'm coming out with, but. I think that once they see the effort, they'll then turn around and be like, actually, let's just speak English, mate, because your French is shit. Yeah. They can see you making an effort. I think that's something I've tried hard to do. And then I think there's certain things that like blew my mind when I got here. Like we have like a 3-hour lunch break on a training day. We like finish at 12. We'll come in, like train all morning, finish at 12, and we'll have like another couple hours to go, if that. But they're like, no, we'll see you all at 3:30. And you're like, what? Like things like that blow your mind. You're like, why are we doing that?
Because they love a little espresso, don't they? A little espresso, feet up.
Espresso.
Some of them might have a tab, but don't dob them in. There's always a little bit of that going on, which is mental.
Yeah, and then I was just like, no, you've got to buy into this, and you've got to get used to and part of the thing that's cool about being here is experiencing that different culture and that different mindset. And I think if you go here to try and change things in that sense, then you're not gonna enjoy it. They'll just blow you. You'll just be sort of smash your head against the wall.
Can you understand why so many players kind of come over there for 2 years and go back after a year? Because they, you always hear them, well, we used to do it this way and we used to do it this way and this is what we do, and it kind of blows your mind. Whereas if you just go, I'm fully adopting it, do as kind of go with the flow, and this is what's been accepted, it makes a profound difference.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I think I'm lucky with where I'm at. That sort of since we've been here, we've obviously had success both years by winning titles. I think that just makes life better if you're winning stuff. You can sort of, some of those things doesn't really matter as much. But I'd imagine if you weren't getting the results, there's things that it could get a bit tasty. But it's a great place to be, mate. And I do, as I know I've said it multiple times, but I do sort of feel very, very grateful indeed.
Could you see yourself playing for any other club again?
That's a good question. I being really honest, I don't think I would have ever have left Wasps. I had ambitions to be part of the leadership group and one day maybe have an opportunity of being captain. And sort of saw that for myself playing with my brother for the next 10 years at the club. I don't know if my legs would have 10 more years actually, but and that to suddenly disappear and then to come here, and I only signed 8 months originally here, but as soon as I got here, I was like, this is a special place. Like I'm enjoying myself here. They're looking after me. And they'll always put you first in whatever situation. Like they were amazing when I was allowed to play for England. They were amazing at facilitating. Look, you don't have to come back during the fallow week if it helps this and helps that. They were just so helpful and wanted me to play for England. Like they were like, we want you to play for England. They were so helpful with it, and I think that sort of said a lot for me that they were willing to be like, look, you don't have to come back to play for us because we want you to put your best foot forward. And that meant a lot. And then during that time, I was just like, there's not many places that you sort of strike gold. It felt like I'd sort of got really hit a spot that I was like, I've got to take the opportunity here to decide, am I happy? Is my family happy? And am I going to be a better player for being here? And they were the three things I considered. And I think when it was yes to all of them and the scenario, I was like, you know what, I want to lock it in here. Look, can I tell? I don't really know where the wind will take me over the next few years, but I'm certainly enjoying myself here for now.
I mean, just talking about sort of England for 1 second, because obviously England are taking on All Blacks in Dunedin this weekend. I think I'll put myself on that. I think, and I know you said it, it's a stupid rule. I can't believe why it's there. I think it should be removed. I don't think it would cause an exodus. I think it would make the game more competitive, and I think it would put the best players in there. And I think your performances have shown that you should be on there. But is it a bit of a mixed bag? Will you be watching?
Yeah, look, I'm an England supporter. I always dreamt of playing for England, and I've always supported England. Like that's never going to change. I think that you talk about the sort of the rules and the regulations. It's not for me to say. I think one thing that I do honestly think is there wouldn't be some massive exodus. There's not the space for it. There's rules here in France that you're only allowed a certain amount of non-GIF players and non-French players playing in the team, and that number's getting smaller and smaller, so they can't have 15 foreigner players. That's not how it works. So look, I think there'll obviously be a few people leaving, but there already has been. I don't think things would change massively, and I think it allows for space for other players coming through at clubs back in England. But I equally understand why they want to. I guess they want to keep talent in the UK and in England, and I understand that and respect that. But you can't sort of you've got to control your own destiny and your own family's destiny and decide what makes you happy and the position you're at. I'd absolutely love to play for England, but sometimes, and definitely with this situation, can't have my cake and eat it.
Will you watch?
Yeah. I'll definitely be chucking it on.
Well, you'll be up with the kids, won't you?
No, they sleep quite well, mate.
Do they?
Yeah.
I mean, my daughter said I went to bed last night at 7:30, feeling all right, but after sort of post Glastonbury, And I then passed out, fell asleep, woke up at 2:30, like, oh my God, I've never been so tired. Stumbled for a wee. I think I weed in the toilet. It could have been the airing cupboard, I don't know. But my daughter, she's nearly 2. I crept into my room and was obviously standing by the edge of the bed. And was like, and I remember hearing like "Dada," and I was like, I obviously didn't wake up. She pulled my eye mask and slapped me in the face, and she went, "Wake!" And then I have some milk ready for the morning. She just points milk. You're like, "Oh my God!" And then she wouldn't go back to sleep until the nanny came at 9, so I could work. So that was It does. I mean, to be fair, seeing her face did cheer me up, but kind of
it does, yeah.
on a hangover, I couldn't stop crying. I cried. I rewatched Coldplay and I cried, and then I saw her and I cried. I was like, what the hell?
It's a wreck, mate.
I know. I'm having a nightmare. One guy we've got to talk about quickly, Antoine Dupont. I mean, just firstly, in your words, how good is this bloke?
Oh, mate, he's incredible as a player, and I think he does stuff on the pitch. You're like, as he's doing it, you're like, mate, why are you doing that? Okay, yeah, fair enough. And now you've chipped and chased the ball back and ran in a try. You're like, yeah, no worries. You do you. And he's a great player, great bloke, and I think it's quite funny because he's not the way he is as a character. He's obviously done so well and become such a big name. But you can almost think he just wants to crack on with his rugby and just keep his head down. He's not like this. He's not someone who's reveling on all of it and thriving in that environment. He just like loves doing what he does, playing rugby, and he just wants to win things, which is pretty cool.
I mean, he scored 2 tries in the final. I mean, does he still surprise you? I know you said like what you're doing, but is there still stuff you do? You're like, oh my God, like how did you even do that?
Yeah, it's more the stuff. It's the stuff in the game is obviously amazing, but it's the stuff when he's pissing around in training. I'm just like, what? How are you doing that? Like some of the offloads, like it'll randomly, if we're doing like clarity sort of walk through stuff, it'll just be throwing these like 45-meter offloads out the back straight to someone's hands. You're like, honestly, I'm like, what? How are you doing that? I can't even throw a pass 3 meters, mate.
Are you trying to, when no one's looking, do you go out to training field?
Just in the back garden, mate.
Well, I was going to wonder because obviously. I want to watch one of the best finals ever in the Heineken Cup. Toulouse versus Wasps. Rob Howley obviously stole it in the end. I think Joe Worsley put the best tackling performance in of anyone I've ever seen. He's put, I think it was 38 tackles in a final, and obviously they had some huge men, and I know that you're used to doing that. But I mean, he's just. It's just absolutely incredible to see that kind of level of domination because their game was built around offloading, and obviously over here we don't necessarily offload. Has that been something you've had to really add to your game, and are you secretly practicing stuff like lobbing out the back?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've tried to sort of adopt the mentality of just playing like they just mess around in between sessions, after sessions. They're some of the forwards as well, like they're slotting drop kicks pre and post session. I always think, I'm like, is there any rules where the game will end and we have to have a drop kick competition that goes through the whole team because they'll definitely be good, ready for it. But yeah, they just enjoy playing around, having fun. They don't take themselves too seriously outside of training, and I think that allows that lack of like pressure allows you to explore other avenues. Whereas I think. You know what it's like, where it's like, right, don't drop the ball, just carry hard. Like your blinkers are on, and you're not seeing the bigger picture. So just trying to sort of change my mentality on that.
Is that an issue though? What are they like around mistakes? Because I always felt throughout my career, especially UK, I was overcoached. I was told to work on every area of my game when my point of difference was the carrying and tackling. I should have just focused on that and balanced everything out. It seems over there that, I mean, most of the offloads go to hand, but it seems like that if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world as long as it had a good intention.
Yeah, if it was the right decision and it was an execution error, then you're not going to get bollocked for it. Don't get me wrong. There's some sessions that start to go down that way where it's like the offload's not sticking and our coach Hugo will get stuck in. So it's not all just free game. You can do what you want, but I think you're encouraged to try new things, to test the boundaries on it, because defences are so good nowadays. It's like you have to find new ways to break people down, don't you? And I think just keep continuously trying to get better for all of us is what's the most important thing.
Obviously, we said about England. Can you give us a prediction for the series and for this weekend? What you think is going to happen?
I mean, I think you saw that progress in the Six Nations, and especially from an attack perspective for England. I think they'll be coming in hot. They obviously had a real good game against Japan last week, and All Blacks is always going to be a challenge, especially out there. But it's such a young group that are really getting some momentum and have a lot of energy. I think it will be a really good match. I think they'll go well.
I mean, obviously they've gone with Cunningham South, Underhill, Earl. Do you like the balance of that? Is there anyone else you're putting?
You've got obviously unders who melts people. Riggsy's been great all year, and Chandler, I don't know him much personally, but from what I've seen, he carries real hard and moves well. So I think it's a good little balance.
Well, last question before I let you go, before we both pass out, is there's obviously a Lions tour coming up. Is it on your radar? Would you accept if they asked you?
Oh yeah, look, of course. That again, you talked earlier about things that I dreamed of in my career, like Champions Cup being one of them. Lions is always going to be one of them that you dream of. Do I think it's possible? Who knows? But there's so many incredible back rows out there. You've got the Welsh, Irish, English, Scottish back rows that are all going so well. Glasgow with a few of their Scottish boys that have just won the URC as well. I think all I can do is do the best I can at Toulouse and hopefully try and play in these big games, the big finals, and that's where you show what you can do and crack on and do me. I'd absolutely relish it if that opportunity came my way, but I can only focus on myself, mate.
Have you got Andy Farrell's number? If not, do you want it?
It put in a good word for me, mate.
I'm not sure I'm the best man to put in a good word with him, but I'll try my best. Just lastly, what's next for you? What's the next few months look like?
Back home for a couple of weeks now and see family, and it's been a mad. Well, since I arrived here, I worked out I've not had longer than 1.5 weeks off straight because I came out here in October 22. Just went straight through till the end of the season. Then World Cup, I only had about a week and a half off before I started my World Cup prep. Then did the World Cup, and this season it's just carried straight through. So having a few weeks off is going to be really nice, and just some time with the family. Obviously got my beautiful little daughter here as well now. She's getting to an age where she's starting to do a bit more and have her and Enzo and time with her. Enzo and Megan will be really nice, and the family back home.
Well, Jack, thank you so much. What a final we had. 76-minute play, 21 carries, 71 metres gained, 6 defenders beaten, 100% tackle success. What a boy. I can only wish you the best of luck, and hopefully you have the best time with your family.
Oh, thank you very much, mate. Thanks for having me on, guys. Cheers.
No problem. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of GBR React. Remember, there is a massive weekend of international rugby coming up. Alex and Tins will be joined by Shane Horgan and Jonathan Fox-Davis to react to all the games. So keep an eye out for that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. If you like what you've heard, don't forget to rate, review and subscribe, or give us a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you're a real diehard fan, remember to check in the lock-in.